Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Glad to see you again. This is the picture I took in 2007 when I was in 14th Street Union Square. It seems like people were actually notifying this is a planet of Earth. It was burning, right? So in 2007, people seems already awareing the climate change. So because I don't know if anyone like follow any of the survival skills. I think it's nowadays is important for us to talk about surviving skills. But today, before we talk about that, I would like to show you how to save the planet. And well, not saying that like you're gonna save the planet or anything, but it's more important to know what is the other way besides using AC. You can cool down your house. So there are 10 tips I'm gonna share today, and you will see it through my sharing my screen. I copy and paste from one of the geography book that I learned. It is in Chinese, but you basically noticing how like the earth was circulated in certain way. So we have the sun hitting down to the land, and then the CO2 observed it, and most of it can stay in, and some of it reflected back to the surface. But then like burning fossil fuels, it keeping increasing a lot of CO2, which is the gas we're still using today from natural gas is still from fossil fuels. Even though the fossil fuel is used to make solar panel, that is still going on and burning these fossil fuels and increasing the level of CO2, and it raise up the sea level rise and the ice melts, and so we are still polluting the planet of Earth. Back in 2004, this is geography book that I bought it, and it's basically saying that for like this one, for example, we use like the refrigerator, air conditionings, that is actually causing the ozone layer to destroy the ozone layer, and it increase the Cl gas in the air. And once the ozone layer get thinner and thinner, we got more radiations from shine into the ground, and then it hurts the immune system and cause the skin cancer, and also will lead to global warming. And also like the manufacturer making cars, making airplanes that burn a lot of gas, oil, and that is like released to the air, and it create the excess rain, and it caused the excess rain damage that we rarely talk about it in news. I don't know why. And then that like O SO4 gas, and also Cl gas, and N gas, right? That you can find it from chemical elements that cause the water to be excess. The quality of the water will goes down and hurt people's healthy life, and cause the effect of their production rates. And also it makes the soil become excess, and it's decreased the crops that we are having, and harm uh, uh, forest, and also like and it's like hurt like the architectural buildings. Well, today I'm not gonna let you know like all these complaints like transportations, manufacture, gases, and all these like causes and sea level rise already saying that. So today I'm actually like providing solutions, because we already hear a lot of problems already, and we cannot use the same mind like Einstein said. We cannot use the same problem mind to solve this to find solutions. So what can be done is, for example, in here is that like decrease the amount of fossil fuel burning, decrease the amount of fossil fuel using. So decrease the amount of fossil fuel using, we can decrease the amount of use of our refrigerator. Decrease the amount of we use of our air conditioning. Decrease the amounts of cars and airplanes, and decrease the amounts of like gas burning activities. Like maybe we can choose like solar panel, because like that, once you made it can last at least like 15 years, right? At the most of 15 years. That can decrease the rate of burning fossil fuels, right, by using solar panels or wind turbines, or also like anaerobic digestion system, which is like feed with your scraps and foods and then turn out into gas. So that kind of things, and also like plant a lot of tree and use sustainable products, which is like you can even though you dispose it's biodegradable. So think about these kind of solutions is great, and it was already given out in 2004, believe it or not. This is the graph that is shown like during the pandemics, the CO2 level dropped dramatically because a lot of people don't drive, and also a lot of people don't take airplanes. So there is a hope to saying that human behavior can affect the change of CO2. And that is like all the lives, especially during the springtime, they got the rest. They got to come out as dolphins, animals. They got to come out and enjoy the springs. And by the time we were not dramatically used a lot of masks, there was a break in here in 2020. We got to know this, and it's worth to talk about it. That's why I'm here today. So number 10, DIY your own air conditioning. Instead of using your air conditioning, you can be creative to use like plastic bottles and cut it in half, and then like stick this into a cardboard. And then this is actually happening in India, and a lot of people use this to cool down their houses in a cheap way without using any cost. You can try this as like a fun science project with your kids in United States and or other country. So another way to testify is you right, put your hand, then you feel the hot air, but then you also feel the air is cooler in small amounts. Number 9, plant more in your window seats. This is 2020, and it's the first time that I plant a lot of plants in window seat. At the beginning, it was only 5 plants as all the time. They are not productive and they're not fruit or vegetable. And then I start to plant basil and not mushroom, but the mushroom just like kind of grow on its own, but then die on its own. It's probably because like New York City has never had that much rain in the past, but it does in 2021. So my father saying that, wow, you got 18 plants. By the time I counted, wait a minute, I can never imagine I got 18 plants, because I start with 1 and I cannot imagine, I cannot even believe it by the end of 2020. I was just thinking like, oh, if there's 1 plant it's gonna grow, it will be thanks God, because I'm like a very new beginner of gardening person. And so it grows like, wow, 18 plants, and I'm so happy that they're all growing. Yeah. And so like, why am I talking about starting plants in your window seat? Because that, as my observation in person, because I got to spend more time at home in 2020. But then when here, it's actually changed the microclimate. It allows the little ants, little spider, and with any of the bugs. So I would love to, look at them. And it's fun to save the seeds that you eat from apple, orange, and then you see them grow up a little bit. Just like this one is like a little baby lemon tree that is actually were able to pop up and as a surprise to me through the window seat, and then create oxygen for you to breathe. around, and it actually creates some really essential, like calm feelings and smooth smells that you can never imagine that the plants can exhale you some wonderful enjoyable moment. Number 8, but I didn't count it in here yet, but this is a great explanation to show you how natural is 40% evaporation, which is like more than the city while, which is 30% evaporation. And then the city normally run off 55%. That actually becomes one of the 7% in 2014 of like the sea level rise in 2014, based on some of the global climate data that you can definitely find. It is open to publics. That like data is saying, but if you have plants, it become 10% runoff, which is like 45% less. Because the plants observed it, 25% deep infiltration, you got more clean water from plants that you have natural ground cover. And you got 25% shallow infiltrations. So there's a deep and shallow infiltration. Both can purify water, just like compost did it. But then, like in the city, it's only 10% shallow infiltration because it's made out of concrete, so the water evaporating or running so quickly, and only 5% deep infiltration because the concrete is like blocking. It's like a skin that don't breathe, right? So imagine that is another kind of explanation. So it's saying that water heats impervious surface and run off roofs, street, park lots. We already know that. And runoff goes into sewer. And unfortunately, like the cigarette butts, that is like made out of microplastic as well, that doesn't like dissolve biodegradable, and it's only become plastics, and it hurt like deep sea creature, and it run into sewer. And so we all need to stop using. When you see people smoking, you may want to let them know this kind of fact. Is like last year. Well, there's an article is saying that not just last year, but also like an estimated 4.5 trillion cigarette butts end up as litter every year. So that is like huge amounts. It's like 850,000 tons of cigarette litter. So we really need to pay attention to what we throw away, because there's no away. Is what comes around goes around. Number 8, that makes sense by saying that if you have ability at your home to create some of the pavement, I would strongly suggest you to try using JW pavement, because this during the winter time, it can the hot water in the bottom, it will it will stay warm, and so if there's ice on the top, it will melt. So that kind of pavement, instead of like the normal kind of concrete pavement that like collect like dirty water and create disease you don't want, that you want it to be filtered out immediately, right? Filter it out. You want to create that shallow filtrations or deep filtration by using JW methods. During the summer times, the water run down. It may has like compost or little rocks, right? And then on top there's a little concrete right here, but then you got the tubes. You got the tubes and the network, the tubes that is like evaporating the water during the summer, so that when you summertime, when you barefoot walking on this grounds, you feel cool. You feel cool because the water evaporated. The water is cool. And during the winter, the water will sink down, and even though down in a certain level, it remains as water, and it can evaporate it. I mean, it has the connection to top of the skin. I mean, top of the skin. Yeah, maybe it's connected. So like the breathing grounds, like breathing skins. So it can like the hot water during the winter time. It's like warming the ground, so it can have the snow melted in quickly compared to the normal concrete types that you use. And also, like, this is a picture that people like take out a layer of the JW method pavement. You can see it, the soil, you can see like the worms, right? You can see the worms is there, and it's just beautiful that you can see lives can exist underground instead of just like blocking it away, and because it's cheap. We cannot run it in that way. If we want to save our planet, if we want everyone to be healthy, we don't want any dirty water mixing to create more type of disease. We got to change our pavement, and JW method is definitely one of those that especially the one who innovated in he's live in Taiwan, but then he said, I'm free of the copyright, anyone can use this methods because I want to save the planet. That's what he said. It can recycle the water, it can store the water, and it allow the ground to filter the water. Who doesn't want that? And it's cool down too, right? That's another way that we don't need to use AC, because that will slow down the city urban's heating effects, and instead it can actually like cool down the city in the long run. Number seven. Let's look at those like rooftop plants. This is actually, I took this picture in Brooklyn Commons. It's one of the community space that they used. You see like all different kinds of plots that they use. They're doing some experiments with the rain barrel collector, and then they plant the vines, right? They make the skies view with like all these wood frames for the plants to climb over to decrease the amount of heat that creates in a urban heat islands. And also they have blocks and blocks of plants along the sides as well in the bottoms. So that is another way to cool down without using AC. And this is another way that you can level up the plants. This is like a design from a Chinese guy and from Sichuan. And then he did this in his rooftops. And also next to it, he planted fish, because fish actually eats mosquitoes, babies, believe it or not. So that it eats mosquitoes, baby. And then you don't need to feed the fish. And the fish water is really benefits to increase the roots of the plant to grow. So you see all the flowers growing really well. And also you can use this kind of methods in a small scales. This is what I did my experiments with my L. And so like I used like plastic straw cross through the soil, and then in the bottom I put little soil, but most of the water and the stones, it's actually increased the root to grow. Like you see this little thin line, that's the root, and it's grow really happily, and the water drains out in the bottom. And most importantly, because I know a lot of people live in the city, they're busy and they don't want to deal with plants, or they may forgot to water their plants in 2 months, but that's totally fine, because this way the roof can find its own way to seep up the water without you worrying about watering the plants. And it stay at least like 2 months. So how happy is that? A lazy person way to plant. And also it can decrease the amount of temperature in your home, because now you have more plants. They are evaporating, they are breathing along with you, and you can feel the calm and coolness surrounded by them on the rooftop or indoor. Number 6, redesigns. Well, you don't have to buy a new house to redesign everything. Just make sure the air can flow from the southwest to the northeast, right? Whenever there's like, if you have like a second floor window, this that you can face to like the northwest, open it. And then after the stair, you maybe first floor or basement, then you have a window or 2 window that is facing on the opposite side, which is like the southwest, southeast, right? Or any other direction, which is opposite. Then you open it, you drag the air in, and then the air flow out, and then the air can, drag the wind in through the whole room to just like make sure you have the opposite sides that are encouraging the wind to blow through your house. And that is another way to decrease the amounts of AC you can use, or maybe you don't need to turn on AC. And believe it or not, in Malaysia is a place that they are encouraging different ways to do it instead of opening the AC, which is like cause the ozone layer damage. They use really like think of like the vertical plants outside on a wall in a construction wall and also like of course this like type of air flows inside. It's very encouraging and inspiring without using AC. Number 5, spray water on the slides. You can use like a water bottles, right? Water bottles water bottle like this, right? You spray on the slide. Why bamboo? Because like bamboo can observe the heat and observe the water, and it's cool down quickly and it's natural. And even you washed everything, it will not create microplastics. So bamboo slides and it's like really cool down. I know Japan, there's a solar girl in Japan that she actually, after the Fukushima, she cut off her electricity. She kind of go off grid and she used like different kinds of sun reflection to cook her food. And also she doesn't use AC. She used bamboo slides with spray water on the slide during the summer to keep her cool down. You may also like hang some of the ice bags. Also like that works. But if you don't have ice, that's totally fine. You just spray water on the slides next to the window, and you may increase like a couple of slides. Like some people did it 2, 3, to increase the shades at your home. So that can also help to cool down your temperature at indoor temperature when you are at home without using AC. Another way, this is like a Taiwan Eddie person, and that's his name. And he DIY his own paper cool fans. So I guess like he got this like cool paper is from cardboards. So I guess like you can get this like easily from supermarkets because they throw those kind of things away a lot. And then you can maybe layer it up and cut it in a half, and then like to like use some metal line to like all connect them together. I don't know how he make this like paper things, but then he actually like make PVC pipes on the top, and then he has a pump in the bottom. So you pump the water in the bottom, and then the water like goes through the pipes, and then go on the top, and then he put a lot of holes in between the layer of the pipes so that the water can filters through all this like paper. And then behind this paper, he got a fence. So the fence, instead of like blowing out the air to you, is actually dragging the air from the paper. It's not blowing into the paper. It's like dragging the air from the paper, blowing out to you. So then he also get a wet surrounded, so that like the I don't know why, but then so he's like dragging the air from the paper, so that's why the water will not splash into you, because this wind is not blowing into the paper, it's blowing to you, so dragging from that paper, and it's create like really cool wind. And because of the pumps in the bottom, and the water just like like filtered, after the water filter, it go down in the bucket, like this bucket, and then it's got pumped up again. So you don't need to afraid of like losing water in this case, but you do need electricity to run on the fans and the plumber in order to get this cool down. But then I guess like if you don't have electricity, you can use fans, like human fans, to fans through the like the paper, the wet paper, to create winds. It's kind of like cool exercise while you're actually staying yourself cool. So maybe think about it. If you have electricity or solar panels supported by solar panel, this way is a really cool way to cool down home. It's very innovative and creative. That's this the person, and he's on YouTube. Yes, and I follow him. The other way to cool down your body is also like put a fans, blow into the water or maybe ice, and then have make a tubes and then let the air flow in other positions. So that's like another person who did that. Another way, like you simply do it, is like to use something to hang, or maybe just simply hang like a ice bag in front of the fence, or maybe wet towel on the top of the fence, so that it create like cool wind to you without using AC. Number two, believe it or not, Asian Chinese way is saying that like when you cool down in your heart, you actually feel cooler. That's one way. And then the other way is like, because like a lot of people can use like a wet towel, and then cover up your necks. That also create cool down your temperature. Just like a lot of people are runner, and they run for a long time, and then this is like the way of like cooling it down as well, the temperature. And then or meditation, right? Use meditation to cool down your temperature. You can just like to cool down your body temperature, sit still, close your eye, imagine all the pure and clear color in your body, right? To just stay quiet. That is like resting your heart. Resting your heart, it helps you to cool down. Well, who knows? Why don't you like give it a try and see, and comment in below to tell me like if that is working, because I did try it and it works. Number one, right? This is the way that I explained it before, but this is like in very small scale. You can see these are goldfish swimming in the bottom, and this is level up the pan. A Chinese person innovated a way to feed fish over the hot summer. Get rid of mosquito, because fish can eat baby mosquitoes. Don't need worried about watering the plants, since the pots are level up so that the roof can encourage to grow, continue to grow. And then those water from the tanks, you just need to fill up maybe like 1 or 2 times a month, right? Because if you have your cabinet, if you have your like window seat that is big enough, you can definitely like try it out, or maybe in the small scales to level it up. So these are the 10 ways it can cool down, because like when the wind blow, it has to go through the plant, it has to go through the fish tanks that you have, and before it reach to your home. So definitely it's another way to cool down. And you got fresh fruits and vegetable to eat if you do plant some of the vegetable and fruit along your window seat. So that is another way to cool down your home without using AC. So I hope like all these 10 tips will help you to find out the best way to your without AC journey. And remember, our Earth cannot wait.